Hello, everyone. I'll give you a second to get connected to sound.
Okay.
Hello, and welcome to the Broken Rails 1164th New Social Environment. I'm
Yeah.
Magli, a programs associate here at the Rail, and I have the
Good back.
pleasure and privilege of being your MC today for a conversation featuring Larry Clark and Raymond Foye. And now I'll introduce today's guest and host. Larry Clark is an American film director, photographer, writer, and film producer who is best known for his controversial teen film Kids and his photography book Tulsa, which documents close friends following his return from the Vietnam War. His work focuses primarily on capturing youth and subcultures engaged in behaviors that society pretends do not exist. And our host today, writer, curator, editor, and publisher Raymond Foye, is based in New York City. He's a consulting editor of the Brooklyn Rail and a regular contributor to the Gagosian Quarterly. He represents the estate of Jordan Belson. And with that, I will hand it over to Raymond to get us started.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Larry. It's good to see you.
All right.
Um, well, this is an exciting event for me because Larry Clark has, for me, been one of the truly great artists of our time. His work has had an enormous influence um, on the world, not just aesthetically, but in terms of the social history. He's one of those artists like Andy Warhol or Lou Reed or Patti Smith or Robert Frank, whose work has really spurned a revolution in attitude, style, the way people act, dress, behave. It's really moved well into the social realm from the aesthetic one, and that's always an exciting thing. If there's one word that sums up his work for me more than any other, it's honesty, and we can always use a lot of that. Um, like Robert Frank's book, The Americans, Larry Clark's 1971 book, Tulsa, changed the very definition of what a book of photographs was and could be. Larry's made some of the finest photography and art books of our time, including Teenage Lust, an autobiography from 1987, The Perfect Childhood, 1993, and Punk Picasso in 2003, a 500-page scrapbook chronicling the life and work of this artist. Our conversation today takes place on the occasion of his exhibition 92-95 at Rutkowski 68 at 46 Cortlandt Alley, which is one block below Canal Street. It was curated by Leo Fitzpatrick, and the exhibition closes on Saturday, so get out there and see it. Uh, Larry, thank you and welcome. And I want to ask, let's start by talking about this show that's up right now, 92 to 95. Can you tell us a little bit about this show, this material?
Yeah. Well, uh, they're my friends, uh, and I've known them since we were children, and so it was natural that I photographed them because I was doing the same thing. I was shooting and amphetamine and I always had a camera.
You knew Leo when he was a little kid?
It was about 15.
Oh, yeah. Did you meet him on the street with the skateboarders?
I met him I think I met him at 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 the Brooklyn Banks, I believe.
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah. And he curated this exhibition.
Yeah,
hmm And this is basically the material that you shot between 92, 95 of the skateboarders in New York.
I guess so.
Yeah. And that's what later kind of was the raw material for the movie Kids, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, in all your photography, there's very little distance between you and the subject. You're right there with these people.
Mhm.
Um, that's the case too with the skateboarders, is it not?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 Let's look at a few of these photos first. We have some installation views, and then we're going to look at some photos. This is the exhibition. Beautiful space. Okay, hold on this for a minute. What an amazing photograph that is, Larry.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I mean, this reminds me, it's almost as if in art, in portraiture, this could be medieval times. This could be Renaissance times. It could be ancient Greece. I mean, you see this all throughout art history. The kind of compelling face.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
And what are you responding to when you're shooting like this?
Well, when I got out of art school, um, I was photographing, because I knew art well, and so there was an extension of that.
Were you going to art museums as a kid or mostly looking at art books?
Mostly books,
Yeah,
because I was in Tulsa.
yeah.
Uh, but when, when I came to New York, I went to all the museums,
Yeah.
all the time.
hmm hmm Let's keep going with some of these pictures. Beautiful background there. Yeah, here we are. That's Leo, no?
I can't really see
I
anything.
I think it is. Yeah.
Because my eyes are blurry, and I'm waiting for new glasses, and
Yeah. Is that any better? Yeah. And these are sea prints. These are gorgeous prints. I mean, it's another reason to see the show in person. They're really beautiful prints.
hmm
Are they vintage prints
hmm
from the time? Yeah. Let's keep going.
That's Harold, right?
Uh,
Harold Hunter.
well, one of the things that John, the gallery manager, told me is that so many of these kids are coming in and now they're grown-ups and they have kids and they're showing their kids their photograph.
Yes.
You stay in touch with a lot of your subjects, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Fantastic.
Yeah, really good one.
Hmm. Incredible pose. I mean, that could be a Greek sculpture at the Met. Kids have such a kind of unprepossessing way about them, don't they? They have an intensity and a relaxation at the same time
hmm
in these photos. I also like how people in your pictures, there's often very different things going on, or they're looking at different things, they're looking in different directions. Also, in a picture like this, you kind of get to see how what the pecking order is socially, like the big kids rule, and then the little kids look to the bigger kids, and you get a whole sense of this social structure that's there, right?
Right.
Do you have any rules for street shooting, for photography when you're out there? How do you handle the situation?
Well, I like meet the kids, and get to close to them, and I talk to them about their lives and what they're doing, and so I basically you know know the kids.
Yeah, you get to know them first, and then you start photographing.
hmm
And you actually started skateboarding in order to get close to them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I, I, I was like uh, 50 years old and just started skating, which is really a trip, man. Try that sometime.
I don't think I'm going to. Um, that's fantastic. Um, I suppose they probably wouldn't have accepted you anywhere near in the same way if you weren't skateboarding, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
They must have really thought, who is this guy?
exactly. Yeah. But I started
You- Hmm.
skating with them, so it was fun.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
fun. Very, very difficult.
It was difficult.
Oh yeah, man. I was, I was, I, I was old, and like started skating, which no one did.
Yeah, yeah. Here's a beautiful portrait. There's a whole wall of this subject. I don't know what his name is. Do you remember?
I can't really see it.
Yeah, yeah. There's a whole wall. Um, Now, usually, like a photograph is the decisive image. Photographers go for that one photograph. Oftentimes, what you do is you give us, like with this portrait, you probably give us 12 different versions of this. And it's really interesting to see all those, what happens in just the second before and the second after. Um, what's your idea there?
Well, I just try to, you know, make as many photographs, as I can of them. So, so I get that, slight um, um, adjustment.
And then you can choose later.
Mhm.
Hmm. So you like to shoot a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The art critic David Sylvester once told me he was a script assistant on Stanley Kubrick's film Lolita. And the first day, Kubrick fired the still photographer on the set. And later, when Sylvester got to know him better, he said to Kubrick, "Why did you fire that photographer that first day?" Kubrick said he wasn't taking enough photographs. Let's go on. Mhm. Mhm. You really get a sense of what the style of the moment is, right?
Mm-hmm. His hat.
Yeah, and the top button buttoned. Yeah. Hmm. What's this? Their clubhouse or your place? The clubhouse, probably.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, blowing
Shotgun.
yeah, shotguns.
I was surprised how many people don't know what that is anymore. Back when marijuana was a lot more rare and was hard to come by and was expensive. After you took your drag, you blew it into the other person's mouth so they could get high from the same inhalation.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Um, okay, we have more we can return to in a bit. Larry, were you keeping a diary at all during this period?
Hmm. Was I?
A diary? Were you
I
keeping a diary?
brought a little bit of your
Yeah,
writing from the
yeah,
time, a little bit of notes.
yeah. Just notes, not, not a diary really.
Hmm. Um, when did the idea of making a film of these kids come along, and how did the movie evolve?
Well, I always wanted to be a filmmaker, so I filmed what I knew, and that was that that was the first film.
Hmm.
How you made the jump from photography to the movie.
I always wanted to make film.
Well, your books are very filmic to begin with, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a story there. Um, Harmony Korine, the script writer, he was like 18. He was just out of high school, wasn't he?
Mhm.
And you just asked him to write the script. You trusted him to do this?
I talked to him, and he he knew who Robert Frank was, and that impressed me a lot. Uh, uh, so so I asked him uh, to write the scene for me, and he wrote a great script.
Hmm. You stuck pretty close to the script, or were you riffing and improvising on it?
No, no, no. Uh, I, 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 I filmed the script because
Mhm.
if I didn't, they couldn't talk at all.
Yeah.
It was it 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 was bad. So I just shot the script.
Hmm. Well, I remember going to see the film the week it came out down at Film Forum, and the impact was unbelievable. That's something one will never recapture, is just how something felt exactly at the time. But it was pretty darn shocking. And people were saying, oh, this isn't what kids are like. And I was like, oh, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah.
It certainly is. And one thing I liked about the film was a lot of films about kids, teenagers, uh, they're not played by teenagers. It's obvious the actors are like in their 20s.
Yeah, 28 years old and stuff.
So what's it like working with a non-actor as opposed to working with an actor? Because you've made a dozen films by now. I'm sure you've worked with both, right?
Mm,
What's the difference between a non-actor and an actor for you as a director?
well, mm, an actor has a style they can just kind of do it, uh, which doesn't feel as real as using um, real people.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize how many movies were made with just real people. I mean, Pasolini, Bresson, a lot of great directors did not want to use professional actors.
Right.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite film directors?
Um, Godard, Bergman,
Mhm.
um, Cassavetes. Uh,
If someone came to you today and said, okay, if you have one more film to make, if a producer said, I want to produce a film with you, and you only had one more film to make, what film would you like to make
Probably in Mexico.
in Mexico?
Yeah, be,
Huh.
be, because there's so many uh, Mex Mexicans coming into America.
Yes. Yeah, that would be a great film. Well, the film I've always wanted to see you make, because you're from Tulsa, is a Western. I mean, that's an incredible genre when you think of it, just what's there in the Western that hasn't even been explored.
Yeah.
Has that ever intrigued you?
Hmm.
Hmm.
I thought about it, yeah, a
What
lot.
did you think about?
Mm. Doing one that was real, uh, which is, quite different from the Hollywood ones,
Yeah.
I feel.
So you've got cowboys and Indians, and you've got Apaches, and you've got what, African Americans, you've got Buffalo Soldiers, you've got a whole incredible uh, social mix out there
Mhm.
in Oklahoma at
Yeah,
that time. Hmm.
yeah. I may do one more.
Hmm.
There's a, there's a mm, talk about it, and I think that I could get the money for it.
For the Mexican film or for the Western?
Well, it would be both.
Yeah. Well, you certainly make a Western in Mexico, can't you?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Tell me about your stint in Vietnam. What did that consist of? What were you doing? I mean,
Uh,
you're in the army.
we were taking uh, 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 supplies up the river to the troops who were fighting,
Hmm.
and we got fired at, and I fired back a lot, uh, in, into the jungle. I don't know if I hit anybody or not. You just never know.
Are those experiences still with you in an intense way?
Sure,
Yeah. Did you shoot any photographs when you were in Vietnam?
a few.
Hmm. Do you
They,
still have friends from those days in the army, from the army?
not really.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would imagine a lot of the Tulsa crowd is probably gone now too, right?
They're all gone.
Hmm.
I'm like
Hmm.
the last man standing.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Roper just died here, a few months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you have broken a lot of taboos with your work down through the years. Do you think there are still taboos that are out there to be broken?
Um, if there are, I'll find them.
You know, the first time I ever encountered you was when Diego Cortez had shown your work at his PS1 New York New Wave show. This was in 1981, and he didn't return the photographs. And you came to his apartment on Ninth Street with a knife, and you held the knife to his neck to get the photographs back. And I remember thinking, wow, this guy's really hardcore. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Just a day in the life.
vaguely, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's normal,
Um,
very, very normal for me.
for the art world too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been I've been shot at a lot, and luckily I didn't, mm, luckily they missed.
Yeah.
I got cut once, I think.
It's a little bit of a trite metaphor, but do you think there's something to do with shooting with guns and shooting with cameras?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
What is it? The precision, the nailing somebody?
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's very similar, I think.
Yeah. Well, Burroughs has a book, Painting and Guns, about the relationship between shooting. I mean, you could call it archery if you want to take a Zen angle, aim, focus, intent, and creating the work of art.
Well, well, he shot his wife right there, so
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Um, did you read the beat writers much when you were young?
Hmm.
That was an influence?
Well, I'm not sure.
Hmm. What about Herbert Huncke? Did you ever meet Herbert Huncke?
I'm sure many times.
Yeah. Did you like him?
Yeah,
Hmm.
he was a small guy who was a hustler.
Yeah. Did you ever photograph him?
Yeah, sure.
Uh-huh. Um, you must have a lot of work that nobody's ever seen, no?
True, true.
What do you have? How do you organize your negatives in your prints? Do you have a management system? How is the studio set up?
It's very, very loose.
It's very loose.
You know,
Okay.
there's stuff everywhere.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. Um, have you been working much in the past couple years?
Uh, just just a bit.
Yeah. Painting, collage,
Yeah,
photography?
yeah.
Hmm. Have you used your iPhone to do any filmmaking?
Uh,
A little bit in Paris.
in Paris a bit. Yeah,
Hmm. Have you done anything with that material?
not really.
Yeah. You lived in Paris for like 3 years, didn't you?
Hmm.
That was a good experience.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, one of my favorite photographers of all time is Robert Doisneau. Do you like Doisneau's work?
Hmm. Yeah.
Were you influenced by like Cartier-Bresson or Doisneau at any point?
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I'm
Um,
I'm not sure. Sure that was you know.
well, it's hard to know about influences ever.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
I mean, I
ma-
situate you so much within the art world, but if I cast my, memory back when you hit the photography world, um, were you accepted by the photography world when you came in on the scene?
some but uh, a lot of them hated me.
What about John Sarkowski? From MoMA, did he like your work?
Yeah, I mean, he he was okay. He was a real drunk, you know.
Yeah, I know. That was the days of three martini lunches.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, Are you watching anything right now in terms of streaming? It seems like so much interesting filmmaking is taking place on the streaming platform rather than in the movie theater. Are you watching anything that you particularly like?
Sure. I'm not sure what it's called, but I I watched it. What have I watched lately? Do you know the?
You've been watching a wide range of things, based old things, new things, everything in between, and you seem to like to go back and forth between something made today and something made 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah,
That's nice.
I watch everything.
Do you miss darkroom work? The old days of the chemicals and the old papers, the Agfa and the Ilford. Do you miss that today a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. I used to mix all my own chemicals
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah. You mix them from scratch.
Yeah, from scratch. I
So
used,
you enjoyed darkroom work.
yeah,
Did you have favorite papers?
I used to spend days and days and days there.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have favorite papers?
Hmm. I would just say Ilford, I guess I liked.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did you print color or did you send the color prints out?
um, I printed some color,
Hmm.
but it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And,
So after these skateboarders, okay, we're like in Washington Square Park and where else? Up in the Bronx, maybe?
probably.
Yeah. And then you went out to Los Angeles and you spent about 3 years with young Black and Latino skateboarders, which was a pretty new scene, wasn't it?
Hmm.
You shot a lot of them, and then out of that came the film Wassup Rockers, right?
Right,
Hmm.
right. Yeah, that was Jonathan Velasquez and his friends, and I was very, very proud of that film.
It's a great film. It really is. Yeah, people really should get on uh, line and stream the ones they can, and then a lot of them you just have to buy the DVD online,
Mhm.
but they're worth watching over and over. Um, was that an even more difficult group of people to um, kind of penetrate the scene, or not? Not especially.
It was probably harder
Yeah.
because I was so old, and like they were like so young, and uh, so it was a trip. It was difficult.
Were they suspicious of you at first, like maybe thinking you were a cop or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but once I got to know them and they saw the work, I used to always, uh, uh, print the work and like give it to them. And I remember one time I made this incredible collage, really, really difficult to do. Like 4 or 5 photographs uh, uh, together, and it was great. And and I, and I gave it to this kid to thank me, and then folded it in fours and stuck it in his back pocket.
How charming.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, then Leo Fitzpatrick went on to Supreme and actually made some skateboards of your design, did he?
Hmm.
Yeah. Do you still have those?
Yeah.
Hmm.
They're like packed in, in the closet in there in in the old dark room.
I
Some,
heard you gave a whole bunch away.
yeah, great ones too,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
which the kids would just skate, And, mm,
Yeah. Um, you went back to Tulsa, what, in just last year or a year or two ago?
pardon?
Longer
Longer,
ago than that. Yeah,
longer ago.
4 or 5 years at least.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Or
was the Woody Guthrie Museum open then? Did you go see that?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Hmm.
Hmm. I think it's fantastic. And what about the Dillon Center? Was that open then or not yet?
I'm not sure that it was open yet.
Hmm. Yeah, they've done an amazing job in Tulsa.
They like showed me some of the work. You would like go in and they would show you something different, you know,
Yes.
the notebooks and things like that. There was like tons of stuff.
Mm. Yeah, Woody was a big writer. He wrote all the time. Did you happen to see his copy of Ouija's People that he annotated,
Yeah.
Woody Guthrie?
hmm
They showed you that?
hmm
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think I'd seen it much earlier. I think uh, W. Eugene Smith had, had, had a copy that he showed me.
Uh-huh. You were friends with Gene Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the film The Jazz Loft about his work?
hmm
Yeah. Did you like that?
hmm
Yeah, fantastic film. Um, Sarah Fishko put together of all of his footage of the jazz musicians who used to rehearse at his loft, like Thelonious Monk.
Yeah. Monk and a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah. Um, who do you really miss from those days in the photography scene?
Well, I miss Smith, uh, I miss Robert.
Robert Frank?
Mhm.
Mm. All photographers who make films. I guess that's not such an unusual thing. Um,
Not now, but back then it was.
yeah, yeah. I went to a class that Robert Frank gave a lecture to at NYU, and one of the students said, "Well, how do you decide to photograph something and how do you decide to film something?" And Robert said, "Well, I would say if it moves, film it."
Yeah.
Robert had a style about him that got into the work, which was extremely vulnerable, raw, impulse, and intuition. It was all right there on the surface in a very direct way.
Mm.
I find that in your work as well. Would you say? I mean, if you're shooting, if you're street shooting, you're running on intuition, right? You don't have time to think about anything.
No, no.
It's
You,
intuition, it's gut.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. You just photograph. When I saw Robert's work, uh, I actually saw somebody um, who was copying him uh, before I saw his work.
Hmm.
I, 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 I saw copies of it, people copying him.
So right off, they were copying him then, that style. Hmm.
Not many, but some.
Yes. I've always been real interested in some of the photos that Robert shot of Native Americans on the Americans road trip, which you don't get to see that often. But he did visit a few reservations, and I asked him questions, and he was like, "Oh yeah, those guys in that photo who were in the car, they were Native American." And um, did you ever do any shooting on reservations in Oklahoma when you were growing up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
I did. And like I had a lot of friends who who were Indians. Screechy, Johnny Bridges, bunch of them.
Yes. Should we see if we have audience questions?
Sure.
So you shut down your online store, Larry, did you? No more t-shirts?
Yeah.
It wasn't us that shut it down, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed it's gone.
But I
There are
thought,
no audience questions yet, Raymond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Larry, do you get final cut on your films? Is that a stipulation you have?
hmm,
Would you do a film if you didn't have final cut?
no.
No.
But like sometimes in America, they like cut them anyway, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Hmm.
They did cut your last film a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of it.
And there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can't sue them. It's just, futile to do it.
Yeah.
But only in America.
In France, you had better experiences?
Everywhere else, they just
Yeah.
show them, as I
Hmm.
shot them,
Hmm.
only in America where they you know you know cleaned up for really stupid. Who knows why?
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I'm not surprised. Have you done much commercial work down through the years?
Not much,
Hmm.
just a little bit when I needed money. But I would usually take an assistant with me, and he would really, photograph for me. I didn't like to do it myself.
You were more of the art director, choosing the models and the framing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they wanted my name, so I was
Hmm.
basically selling them my name because I needed the bread.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I remember a Dior ad campaign I thought was fantastic that you did.
Yeah, that was like 4 miles, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how did you support yourself down through the years, especially in the early days? Did you support yourself through your work, or did you have to take jobs, or how did you get by?
Women mostly.
Yeah. There's a great line in a Gregory Corso poem where he says, I have lived by the grace of Jews and girls.
Right.
Were you friends with Gregory?
Gregory Corso.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he was a real drunk.
Yeah, he liked his drink.
Boy, did
He was an equal opportunity addict.
he?
Um, in later years, it was just methadone. It was way beyond getting high. It was just about maintaining, his ability to get up in the morning and function. It was way beyond getting high at a certain point for him. Uh,
We have a few questions, Raymond, if you want to transition over to
yeah,
Q&A.
let's hear.
The first question is from Andrew, and Andrew wants to know, when you were a teenager, Larry, who were some of your earliest influences of photography?
Hmm. Probably, probably Life magazine. but I couldn't figure out why they didn't go further. So when I started was, uh, you know, to, to like push it as far as I could. And, it was like
Thank,
so much, uh, they they would like block what was the real. You know, that they would go so far that they'd stop. Because I never really, understood why they did that, but they did.
It was an incredible magazine, though. I mean, it arrived, was it a weekly or twice every 2 weeks?
It was weekly.
Weekly. Yeah. I mean, everybody subscribed to it. It was an unbelievable force and factor in one's visual life, especially as a kid.
Mm.
They covered a lot, I mean, LSD, hippies, and 67. I mean, boy, that was a big part of my education, Life magazine.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. And nothing like that today, is there?
Mhm. No, I was in the army. Uh, when they started photographing the hippies and stuff, and I couldn't wait to get back.
Yeah. Well, when I saw the hippies, I said, I'm not going in the army, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, they kind of let the cat out of the bag in the 60s. I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure they don't do that again, which is why the counterculture is so important. But Jonas Mekas used to always say, don't call it the counterculture, it's the culture.
Yeah. True. True. True.
we have a couple more questions. Thank you for that answer, Larry. The next is from Jeff. Jeff says, your color is pioneering as is Soul Leaders. He used the city as you used the kids as subjects, finding rhythms. Did you have a chance to meet him?
Me too.
Soul Leader?
Probably. I'm not sure.
Saul Leiter, the photographer
Oh,
who shot a lot of color street shooting in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. Extraordinary photographer. Yeah.
Yeah. I probably met him for sure. I met almost everybody.
Yeah. What was there a hangout for photographers? Where would you meet each other?
We used to meet at a mm, at a photographer named Phil Perkis, his house a lot. And,
Would you
and
so
sorry, go ahead, Raymond.
would you go to all the I mean, there weren't that many photo galleries in those days, but like Whitkin Gallery, would you regularly stop by there? Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
one uptown. What was the one uptown? Uh, was it something beat? Something. I'm not sure what it was. But I saw Friedlander there and other people.
Lee Freelander. Yeah. Yeah. Whitkin was a great gallery. Boy, I remember going there and, they'd have Eugene Atget platinum prints signed for like $400. It was unbelievable. Hmm.
Yeah.
Other question?
Yes. The next question is from Charlie, and Charlie asks, why color instead of black and white for the skaters?
Um, I just wanted to try it.
Hmm.
I shot black and white for so long that you know, I just wanted to see if I could do it in color.
Hmm.
And I actually printed in color for a while, which is really difficult to do.
These are beautiful color prints that are in the show. They're really magnificent prints, beautifully framed, just the right size. Fantastic exhibition. Um,
Thanks.
so that was work that you just had in storage all these years, and Leo said, let's show these.
Mm.
Hmm.
has gotten all of it back from storage.
Yeah. Yeah, it was in storage for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We have one last question. It's from an anonymous audience member, and they're wondering if you believe in God and why do you take pictures and make films?
Funny. But I make film, and the pictures are because that's you know what I do. Believe in God, not really.
Well, I've always known you to be an incredibly industrious person, you know, a real workaholic, basically, but just always working, very inspiring. And years ago, we traded a print of yours for some books that I published. And I chose a picture of a kid on a subway with his feet up on the seat. And I've had that picture on my wall for probably, 35 years. And I look at it every day. And it just never loses its charm or its interest, you know? And I think, well, who was this kid and where's he going? I look at the subway car and I look at his boots and just that moment that you captured was so great. And I remember years ago, like David Hockney saying that a photograph is just a frozen moment and it doesn't have any time layered into it the way a painting does. But I think a photograph, it's just a split second, but it really contains an element of eternity, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, that picture was taken coming home from 42nd, the Deuce, we called it, and the car was almost empty, so it was probably 4 o'clock in the morning or something, and I saw the kid and I went down and took a picture of him.
Well,
He was
thank you
amenable
both.
to being photographed, was he?
Well, I photographed him anyway, so
Yeah. He wasn't armed.
no.
Okay. Well, it's an amazing body of work that you've created, and it's been such a joy following it all these years. It really has.
Thank you both so much for today. Thank you, Larry, and thank you, Raymond. I'd also like to thank Chalco and Bano from Larry's studio and Rutkowski 68 for their support in preparing for today's event. We'd like to thank the Terra Foundation for American Art for sponsoring our NSC program and making these daily conversations possible, and for their support of our growing archive, which you can view on the Rails YouTube channel. The Rail has been free and independent for 24 years. A donation directly supports our writers, staff, and operations. Support our work through the link in the bio or in the chat. And join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. for a conversation with Julie Beaufils and Jessica Holmes on the occasion of slow definition at Matthew Brown. And as is Rail tradition, you can now unmute and say hello and goodbye as you leave. Thank you all so much.
Thanks a lot.
Great conversation.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Larry. Thanks,
Thank you, Larry. It was
Larry.
amazing.
So much.
Thank
Thanks, Raymond.
Thank you, Raymond.
Mr.
Clark.
Thank you, Larry and Raymond. Such a
And
pleasure.
thank you, Magley.
you all.
Thank
Great
you.
conversation. Thank you.